Hello and welcome once again in our new session where we are discussing important topics related to political science, subjects, social science. And in today's topic, I have taken yet another important topic that's known as discuss three factors that determine the outcomes of politics of social divisions. Very important question from the exam point of view, and we will analyze the question both from the long answer type and MCQ type of question. So before going into detail, before discussing the question in detail, we must understand the question first. And it says that what are the three different factors which determines the outcome of politics of social division. And in simple terms, we can analyze the question how politics create social divisions, or how politics is responsible in creating social divisions or segments in a society. So, the three broad factors which determines the outcome of politics of social divisions, and the most important factor among all is the people's perception of their identities. People's perception of their identities. And look at, if these identities become singular, the large interests of the community become neglected. For example, I am an ordinary resident, I am an ordinary citizen, beg your pardon, of a country, in a state, and if I will look up to my advantage or to my identities, being a dominant person in a region, in a community, in a village, in a town, and if I want to grab the wholesome on my own side, so it naturally becomes difficult for the other citizens to fulfill their demands. So I am trying to say you that if I will look my own personal interests and subsiding the interests of the majority community, majority citizens, beg your pardon, so it naturally creates the divisions in the society. Forgetting the larger interests of the community and safeguarding my own personal interests. So there are greater chances of that politics creates social divisions in the society. So this is the first most important factor, that when the identities become singular, or the advantage become singular, forgetting the rest of the people. Though it naturally is a big hurdle in the way of successful functioning of democracy also. Number second, perception of the community by political leaders. So, beg your pardon, sorry. Representation of a community by political leaders. Now, the second factor is how the political leaders are representing their community, their electorate. So, it is up to the political leaders. If, for example, if the demands raised by the politicians are genuine, and are constitutional. If on the part of the people, the demands raised by the politicians are genuinely true and are under the constitution, so it becomes easier to accommodate all these things. It becomes easier to satisfy all those demands of the people. And on the other hand, if the demands raised by the politicians on the part of the people outside the jurisdiction of the constitution, then it naturally creates division, then it naturally creates segments in the society. So it's the most important point. So while representing the people and in order to fulfill their demands, in order to fulfill their aspirations, these demands and aspirations must should be genuine and should be under the provisions of the constitution, with no bound of any respect. So if going contrary to these demands, then it naturally creates chaos in the society. So this was the most important second factor. Now the third, the government's reaction. Now what, it's up to the government. What's the government's reaction? Look at, if the government fulfill all the genuine demands, then it is the way for the efficient functioning of democracy, and there will be no chaos and confusion, there will be no division and segment. But if the demands raised by this community are suppressed by the government, then it leads to social division, and naturally it threatens the national integrity and puts up the question mark on the unity and the cooperative principles of the democracy. So I hope you must have understood this question in a deep and efficient way. So this was all about these factors regarding the outcomes of social divisions. And with next topic, I will come up once again in front of you by the medium of this online platform. Until then, take care. Goodbye.